Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday, y'all. I actually just spent the last few hours hanging out in a coffee shop called Happy Monday. I think it was called Happy Monday. Very cute. I liked it a lot. I actually thought I was going to stream from there, but it was too noisy. Or too noisy or too quiet. It was a little bit of both. I didn't want to have to talk over people. And then I also figured if I was speaking loudly, it might disturb the other people in the coffee shop. So I was like, forget it. I'll find somewhere else to stream. So I did. So here we are. It is Monday, January 9th. I am not where I thought I would be on Monday, January 9th. I had all these other plans and was supposed to be in all these other places, but life takes its turns. And that's what I am here to talk about is the timeless. I decided to do a continuation because things have been nuts. Things have been really crazy lately with my life. And it's been like tumultuous in a way, but exciting, like super exciting. All this stuff is really going to set me up for success in the future. And I'm very much looking forward to some smooth sailing after this super bumpy start to the new year. I know I'm not alone in that. I've heard a couple other people talk about how they're still feeling that energy from the end of last year. People are, it's still the winter. It's the bear market winter, and we're still going through it. And luckily, we're not alone. We're all in this together. And that's part of just the message that I try to bring every time, is that we really are becoming a very tight-knit community in a way, for those of us who have been around a little bit longer, gotten to know one another, especially the content creators, creators in general. We have really had this great momentum in terms of building one another up and being there for one another in times of need and times of stress and times of distress. And I just feel so fortunate that this is the community that I've found myself in. I got to speak at the HEX conference over the last couple nights. Thanks again to Maddie Allen for that. Thanks for all his hard work, putting that on, getting all of that organized. Sticker Guy win as well. Just all of the little things that kind of have to happen for a conference like that to take place online. Like what excellent content that they are constantly creating. And so yeah, big shouts of appreciation to them for that. Well, y'all, so it's story time. Are you guys ready? Get your hot cocoa, cuddle up next to a cozy fire. And we're going to learn about what just happened with my life. So I don't really ever go back and watch my own content, but I'm pretty sure the last time I left off, I was in Mexico and my driving car broke down. And I think the last that y'all knew about it was that it was at the mechanics. So let's catch you up. After that point, the car was toast. Done. It was going to need a new, forgive me, the head, like the engine head. There's another word for it too, but it was going to need that replaced. And then they said, even if we replaced that, there was no guarantee that the engine would still work. So it was like, let me pay a few grand to see if this will fix it. And then on top of that, if that doesn't work, I would need to pay another $2 to $3 grand for whatever. It's like a car's not even worth that much, So worked out in a way that the awesome Hexican that I got to hang out with there, D Bunny, shouts to you. Thank you again for everything. Her brother-in-law's a mechanic. So I just ended up head gasket. Thanks. Excellent choice. The head gasket was blown. So I ended up getting to kind of donate it to her brother-in-law. Maybe they can scrap it or something. It was just not going to be worth the time or energy to fix it. So Link was an old video. That's good to know. Sorry about that. And let me say what's up to the chat real quick. What am I doing? Just getting all up in it real quick. What is up? Excellent choice. Good to see you. Scarlet Rose, thank you again for that quote. You're doing great. I love it. Uncle Will, Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, car trouble sucks. It sure does, man. I've been really fortunate, honestly. Like considering how much I travel in vehicles, considering all that, I've had it all right. So yes, my online ghost. Good to see you, Robert online. Hello, good to see you as well. Thanks for your support. I appreciate it. Ooh, let's see. I told you about the Hex cruise. Yay! Awesome. I'm so glad you booked it. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that. I won't say much, but I was talking to another Hexican who's an artist, and he, myself, and Black Hexican are supposed to kind of like do a little talking about some fun things that are going to be taking place on that cruise. So if you haven't heard about it or you haven't signed up yet and you're interested, go to ksb.tv. You'll find a link for the Hex cruise that's happening at the end of April. And if you'd be so kind and you found out about it through me, or you don't have anyone else to put down as a referral, I would love to be your referral for that, because that helps me out a little bit. So that'd be great. What's up, HOA, Hex on Air? Good to see you. Thanks for showing up. Thanks to everyone who is here and everyone on the replay. I love, it's so cool to me that I have for so many friends in this community. And it's really beautiful that I get to share my life through this outlet, and that people, like I had Georgia Carrera the other day, yesterday she was talking to me and she was like, oh yeah, I was just catching up on your old stream and just seeing what you're up to. And I just think that's such a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful way for us to continue to build community, continue to get to know one another, and to learn about what each of us is continuing to do through this bear market. So, with that said, let's get back to the story. So first toast, New Mexico's a thing. How did I even, so what I had to end up doing, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do, because I was basically, living on the road, living out of the car, and, my choice. That's just how I choose to live my life. Well, the car is just full of my stuff, So I've got like a little mattress thing in there that I use. I've got, like utensils and blankets and just all sorts of stuff. So I'm taking all my stuff out of this car. And then again, D-Bunny, my good friend in New Mexico, she's helping me out. We're putting it all in her car. And I'm like, man, what am I going to do? Like, how am I going to get this stuff back home? And I think, if I am remembering correctly, it was Hexcellent Choice that told me to rent a car. Because we had that conversation like twice, and you're like, yeah, that was me. So thanks again for that tip, because that's what I ended up doing. I was thinking, how am I going to fly with all this stuff that I have? How am I going to get all this stuff back to Austin? And I ended up doing the rental car, which it cost less than a plane ticket. And I was able to take all of my stuff. So I was thinking if I flew, I was gonna have to leave some things at her place, and I'd have to come back at some point, and that was just gonna be a whole mess. So I mean, not that I don't want to come back to New Mexico, girl. I'll be there. But I wanted to have everything on lock and like have myself taken care of. So ended up renting a car, driving back to Austin, and then just getting there and being like, all right, man, like, what do I do now? Because at that point, I don't have a vehicle to drive, which is such a thing for me. Like, that's been my life for the last 10-ish years, has been on the road. So not having a vehicle is just so crushing to my soul. And on top of that, the place where I've been living on and off in Austin, it's a friend of mine's house, and his rent's going up. He's going to need the room for his kids, a whole ordeal. So I'm like, luckily, I'm not out on the streets or anything, but I know that I'm going to need a place to live, and I'm going to need people. Well, I've talked about this a lot, and I made a couple of videos. I made a couple of these promo videos about the Hex bus, the Hex van. So you can see those. Well, what ended up happening is that I realized I was going to need something that's ready to live in. I couldn't end up spending money on a vehicle that I was then going to have to spend months of my time and more money converting, because like I said, at this point, I need a place to live, and I need to be able to drive around and do what I want to do. So the search began. The search began, and I was trying to find something, relatively within a decent budget. I'm just kind of trying to get by here. And I was like, okay, what can I do? Like, what can I find? Gave myself a certain amount of money that, I think like I'd be comfortable with, that was, like had enough of a cushion to work with that number, right? And I end up looking, there's like 3 or 4 different websites that you can look for vans. It's like Van Life Trader. I can't remember the other ones. But I am looking through all these different websites. I'm looking at all these different Sprinter van conversions, which is what I had lived in previously. I lived in a Sprinter van, bus conversions, shuttle conversions, you name it. I'm looking and looking and looking and just trying to figure out, what's going to be the best thing, what's going to be the best vehicle for me to be able to move around and live comfortably and really kind of have my own place for the first time in my life. Y'all, I know, for the first time. Because see, so a little bit of backstory, and I think I mentioned this before, but I got married really young. The first time I got married, I was 20. So I went from living at home to living in a college dorm with roommates, to living with a husband, to living with roommates, and then living with a partner. And it just kept going on and on that way. I've never actually had my own place and like lived on my own ever. Even when I was in Puerto Rico, I had roommates. So this was something that I just felt, I want my home on wheels. And as I looked, I ended up finding this really beautiful bus. I think I linked it maybe the last time that maybe not. No, I just feel like it's been so long. Let me see if I can find if she even has it still up and posted. I'll post it in the chat. Let's see. Let's just see, because I'm so excited to share this with you guys. I kept putting it off, right? I kept putting off the announcement about this. I kept putting off wanting to talk about it because in my head, I'm thinking, I'm going to post this, but I'm not sure if the link is still going to work. I'm thinking that, sorry, I'm checking. Okay, it does. It works. So you guys should be able to see it. So in my head, I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to get this bus and I'm going to wrap it in a strap and I'm going to get it all like pretty and then present it, right? I wanted to wait until I was able to like show something like really nice and be like, look guys, look, here's the bus. This is the Hex bus. We're going to drive it around the United States. It's going to be great. Totally all about promoting Hex. I mean, that's what my life, that's what my life has become, is being a testimony to this community and to this currency that we all believe in and that we've all invested in. So as much as I wanted that to be a thing, it kept getting delayed. The bus, from what I learned, the bus was originally and it's a mini bus, short bus. It's a mini bus. It's 21 feet. And from what I understand, it was born and raised in Miami, lived in Florida for his life. The woman who I purchased it from bought it in Florida, lived in it in Florida only for a little while. It was in the summer, so it's warm. She's able to use the indoor shower. She said she never used the indoor shower, even though it works. She just used the outdoor shower. And she used the AC, all the AC stuff worked. Well, here we are on the flip side. And what's happened since is at the most, she lived in it only 3 weeks. It was like she was using it on and off, doing a few trips and things like that. The most extended stay that she had living in it was 3 weeks. And then her business, she has a candle company. I am also going to link that or comment that. I didn't do it in the description yet, but I will add that so that anyone watching on the replay, or if you want to check it out later, you can check out her candle company, because I definitely want to promote her and all she's doing. She's a really cool boss babe. So she had this candle company and it took off. Like she all of a sudden was getting all these orders from everywhere. And she's like, I have a job. I have this business now and I need to be working on my candle production. So she wasn't able to do anything with the bus anymore. And then her boyfriend had a job opportunity come up in Columbus, Ohio. So she figures that that's where they're going to go, and going out there, and the bus stays in storage for 8 months in Columbus. And if y'all had been watching the weather in the last month or so, it got cold, right? It got negative sub-zero temperatures, super cold. Who knows what was going on with, I mean, and the bus was just sitting out in the like a storage parking lot, right? So she did have a mechanic come out and look at it and check everything out. However, you know, I don't think it was driven. And in hindsight, I can't change anything, right? But I wish I would have done a little more due diligence in terms of making sure things worked. And we'll get to that part of the story. But, you know, everything worked when she had used it, and everything had worked when she had driven it, and it had been fine, right? And then it just sat there. So we talk back and forth. I get really interested in it. I ask a lot of questions because at this point I'm in Austin. The bus is in Columbus, so you know I'm not able to just like fly out and see it or anything. I had to figure out, you know, as much as I could beforehand and then make an offer. So I did make an offer. I made an offer for a lot less than what she asked for, and she accepted it. So that was a total blessing. I was just like, that's so awesome. Like, I'm going to get this bus at a decent price. And, you know, hopefully I won't have to put too much money into, you know, any more work or fixing it up. We'll get to that point too. But so I make an offer. She accepts the offer. And then we talk about, because this is like just right before Christmas. So we're talking back and forth. I let her know that I'm actually going to be up that way around Christmas anyways, and that I'm going to be able to drive out there with a friend and check out the bus and, you know, kind of go from there. So water. I can tell my lips are chapped. I'm dehydrated. So, okay, so where are we at? So we're talking back and forth about the date, about when to go out there. And this is all when that freeze is happening, basically. So the freeze is happening, and luckily that kind of worked out in terms of timing, because we ended up waiting until after Christmas. And let me look at a calendar real quick so I can tell you about all this. Let's see. So I'm just like, y'all, the last 2 weeks have felt like years because it has just been such a flippin' journey. Oh, I tell you what. All right. So it's been a week. So on Monday, we drove out to Columbus. On Tuesday, I bought the bus and started driving it. I flew to Columbus. That's how that worked out. I ended up flying out to Columbus because that was going to make more sense for my friend and I to get around what we needed to do. And so and then we driving it to Serpent Mound. If any of you are familiar, I know, I don't know if Pulse Visionary, if she sees this later on the replay, had mentioned how cool of a place that is. But we got to go to this ancient site called Serpent Mound, and took some pictures, had some fun there, and then drove it because I was going to spend a couple more days up in Chicago. So we drove it from just south of Columbus back up to Chicago. On the way back to Chicago, I start to notice that there's a little leak, and it looks like oil. And I'm just like, oh, okay, well, that's not good. But considering that it sat for 8 months and it sat through the freezing cold, and I'm driving it like a wild woman, right? Like, you know, we don't call me a wild SJ for nothing. So it goes from sitting for 8 months to being driven for, 9 hours, a couple hours down to Serpent Mound. And then it was like a 6-hour drive up to Chicago. And again, on the way up there, I'm like, okay, so there's a little bit of a leak. Be a big deal. I checked the oil. Luckily, I'm at least that mechanically inclined that I know how to check my oil. The oil level's all right. And I also had a gallon of oil in case I needed to add any more. So the bus gets back to Chicago. It gets parked in a lot. And then I have a couple other things to do. I spend a couple more days up in Chicago and then start to leave. So I'm getting ready to go. And as I'm getting ready to leave this parking lot, this light comes on. And if you see the thumbnail of this video, it's just the orange light came on. It says motor brake. So this motor brake light comes on. I'm like, oh, that doesn't look good. That doesn't look good at all. Oh, brakes, huh? Let's just hope I can brake. So I very slowly get on out of there. And my plan was to drive from there to Indianapolis area to see a good friend and a friend who has a mechanic friend, a friend who's got a mechanic friend there as well. So I figured they could take a look at the oil leak. Well, I decided to take a little tour to get some gas, just slightly out of my way. I get off the highway, I go to this gas station, and I turn off the bus. I put in the gas. I get back in the bus. I turn the bus on, and that motor brake comes on, the light comes on, and then the one next to it that says parking brake, which is always the park. So this is what I learned. The parking brake is a hydraulic system. There's no parking gear. I have neutral, drive, third, second, first gear. And a parking brake, which is a hydraulic-based parking brake. So in order to move the bus, the parking brake has to be off. Well, whatever was going on, it would not allow me to take the parking brake off. The parking brake stuck. It's not a manual thing at all. There's no way to just undo this parking brake. It's stuck. So I walk over to the gas station attendant. I'm like, hey, I am sorry, but my bus is stuck here for a moment. Let me go walk around and see if someone can help. Because I'm luckily kind of in this little podunk town in India. That happened to be kind of in one, those areas where there's kind of a lot of car things going on. So there was a oil lube place. I'm like, let me just walk over there and see if anyone can help with anything. And they're like, oh no, we just do oil changes. And he's like, try Midas. So I walk across the street to this Midas, and the owner there, Dino at Midas, my angel, he is a badass. He's just like, hey, I can't help you out right now, but why don't you hang out here? It was 28 degrees that day. He's like, it's at least warm here. We've got coffee, we've got hot cocoa, take a seat, chill out, have a good time. So I call AAA because I have AAA. And I tell AAA, this is where the story gets good, y'all. I call AAA and I tell them what's up. I'm like, hey, the bus is stuck. Here's my bus. My bus is sitting in this gas station. It is not going to move. So they start working on getting a tow truck out to me. This is 2 p.m. At 2 p.m. in the afternoon is when this whole ordeal starts. So I wait an hour. I wait an hour and a half. I call again and I'm like, hey, been waiting, haven't even heard a thing. At this point, I haven't heard, because usually they're pretty quick with at least dispatching it, right? They dispatch it and then you have to wait for the tow truck driver to get there. I haven't heard anything. So I call back and I'm like, hey, what's going on? So she's like, oh, well, I guess we reached out to this one tow company and they couldn't do it. They didn't have the right equipment, this, that, and the other thing. I again verified that this is a bus. It's titled as an RV. It is converted completely. So it's an RV titled schoolie conversion. But because of that, they need a certain type of tow truck for this. And I guess it's just like Friday afternoon, people are busy. I don't know. 4 o'clock rolls around. 5 o'clock rolls around. It's 5:30. And I'm like, I still haven't heard anything. I call them back. Again, I'm calling AAA and I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like, why am I still waiting? I haven't heard a thing. Like, what's up? And they basically told me that, I think at that point, told me, she was like, oh, so originally someone had put it in as an auto tow. It's not a car. It's not a car or a truck. It's not going to happen. And then she said that someone put it in, but they didn't put the length of the bus, right? So these people are thinking it's like a, full on school bus, which is not that big. Then she's like, all right, let me put in again that it's a 20-foot bus. I'm like, yeah, like I told you the first time, 20 feet, 20 feet. So she keeps doing all that. And at this point, look, and I tweeted about this to AAA, which I don't think I ever heard anything back from them. But had I been any less of what's it called? Resourceful. Had I been any less resourceful or not as smart as I am, I'd be out in the flipping freezing cold. Right? Like it was smart of me to walk over to the Midas and like we have to get to hang out there and sit in their nice heated, lounge area. But the bus was stuck at a gas station and there's no heat on the bus right now. So didn't mention that part yet. Still trying to figure out the electric system and also the fact that it's sitting in the, right? There's amazing solar system. I should not have to want for power at all. But because it's been so gray, the solar's not charged up or I'm doing something wrong. We'll figure that out when we get there. But so I tell this lady, I'm like, hey, look, it's 28 degrees out here. I am freezing cold and I haven't heard a damn thing from you guys or a tow truck company. What is going on? And she's like, well, let me escalate this for you, blah, blah, blah. So, at that point I was back in the bus, just kind of like doing stuff. So I go back to Midas and I'm just, sitting there and it's again, sweet old Dino from Midas. He's like, hey, look, AAA is obviously not helping you out here. When 6 o'clock rolls around, if you're still stuck here and they haven't towed you, I'm going to have one of my guys walk across the street and look at your bus. 6 o'clock rolls around, still not a damn thing from AAA. And this sweet angel mechanic named Josh from Midas walks across the street and spends at least an hour looking at the bus. He's got it open. He's trying out all these different things. He sees that there's a fuse blown. He can see that the reason the motor brake light is on is because something's wrong with the brake pedal, so that it was as if it was being pressed down, which was causing a motor to continuously run. He was able to tighten it and fix that so that the motor wouldn't burn out. Thank you again, Josh, sweet angel. And then he saw that there were he had filled up one of the tanks for the power steering fluid and thought that was going to fix some things. And then it didn't. And then he realized that there's 2 tanks for the power steering fluid, which I think is also hydraulic fluid or is related somehow. I'm still learning. But once he filled up the second tank, that allowed the parking brake to come off. So the parking brake comes off. However, what's happening is that anytime the parking brake is off, the hydraulic fluid is just leaking, just a line of hydraulic fluid is coming out of there. There's a crack somewhere. And Dino, again, bless his heart, he's kind of texting me and like, hey, are you all right? Like, what's going on? So we bring the bus over to Midas. And even though they don't work on diesels, Dino was like, hey, I'm going to make an exception. It's not your engine anyways. It's the braking system. Let's just have you park here at this Midas and I'm going to have my guys look at it for you. I'm going to make an exception for you and have my guys look at it first thing in the morning. Whew, cool. Sweet. So, and on top of that, Josh, angel mechanic from Midas, didn't charge me a thing. I offered, I was just like, what can I, nothing. So pause. We're going to pause button real quick because I want to say hello to Hex Monkey. What's up? Thanks for tuning in. D-Raj, namaste. Good to see you. Hex Fetty. And who else? Oh, RH Max appears. Look at that. Thanks for showing up, friends. It is good to have you here with me on this flippin' crazy journey. It's crazy. You think the market volatile? Look at my life, y'all. Seriously. No, it's fine. It's great. Part of what has been really beautiful through this whole thing, and that's why I talk about it, just finding beauty in the breakdown, because what an amazing story I get to tell. If these things weren't happening or it was just all flowing pretty perfectly, how boring, right? I don't get to come and hang out and stream with you guys because there's not much going on. But Oh, have I got stories for days now about all this crazy bus drama. So, all right. So bus is at Midas. I'm ready to just call it a night, right? Because it's my sleep, it's my living area. Even though there's no heater or anything, I'm like, I've got layers, I've got blankets, like I'll be fine. And I got one more text from Dino, and he's like, "Hey, like you good? Everything cool?" And I'm like, "Hey, man, yeah, I'm fine. I'm gonna grab some food in a minute here, and like I'm good." The only mute. Am I? Can you hear me? Hmm? I'm gonna keep talking. So the I text him. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go grab something to eat, and he's like, oh, hey, he's like, oh, let me, hey, hop in. So, I'll take you somewhere so you don't have to walk to wherever because it was really. Are you guys not hearing me? Am I good? Uncle Will's saying my sound is messed up. I hear you fine. I hear me fine too. And hey, all 15 of you tuned in. Love you. Thanks. Okay. All right. So, anyways, crisis averted. Mike is fine. So, so he's like, yeah, hop in. I'll take you, go get some food, whatever. He happens to mention there's a Chipotle in the area. And I'm like, sweet, Chipotle, let's go there. So, sweet Dino drives me 5 minutes down the road, pick up Chipotle. I drive back. And then I'm ready to sleep in my bus. And I mean, of course, I'm in touch with my friends in Chicago. I have an aunt in Chicago talking to everyone. And my friends is like, you're not sleeping in the bus. It's too damn cold. Let me come get you. So I come back to Chicago. And basically, over the next few days, which has been the last few days, so Saturday morning, I'm waiting to hear from Midas, and I end up calling in the afternoon, and they're like, oh, we haven't had a chance to look at it. Dino, my sweet angel manager, wasn't there that day, so he wasn't able to tell his guys to kind of get on it. So not until about 3 p.m, and they close at 4. Around 3 p.m, the same mechanic guy, Josh, who had helped me before, he finally takes a look at it, figures out what the issue is, and then lets me know, hey, so here's what the issue is. I found the part, or I know what part is needed, but we don't have anything like this. I'm going to have to look for the part. And then he tells me, hey, I'm willing to work on this because everything's closed on Sunday in that area. He's like, but hey, if I can find this part for you, I'll work on it tomorrow for you. He's just gonna go out of his flipping way to do this for me, like an angel. And so I'm like, okay, cool, man. Like, I super appreciate that. He's like, I'm not far away. If you need me, need the keys, whatever, like I'm around. So he spent Saturday night and then part of Sunday morning looking for the part. Turns out he thinks he found it, but he couldn't verify completely that it was it, that was it. And he says, you might as well just tow it to the diesel place because they're going to know much better than me. They're probably going to have more resources in terms of getting the parts quicker for you. So we're back to towing the bus again, y'all. So what ends up happening is so that's Sunday morning. I call AAA again, and I'm like, hey, I need this bus towed to that same diesel mechanic I was going to tow it to Friday night. Let's get this done, please. And I requested a manager right away at first because I was just like, I waited 7 hours for a tow truck. I do not want to do that again. And the guy I finally spoke to was just like, he's like, no, let me, I'll take care of it. Like, you're good. We'll get someone dispatched, yada, yada. So they send me a text that has a link in it that takes me to this page that tells me what time the tow truck driver is supposed to be there. They say 3:40, something like that. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, it's going to take me about 40 minutes to get there from where I'm at. So I'll just leave a little bit early. No big deal. An hour before 3:40, so like it's actually a lot sooner than that. So it's like an hour goes by and all of a sudden I get another text. And this text links me to an update page that shows me that the tow truck driver is 15 minutes away. No one called me. No one told me nothing. Like, I'm just like, y'all are keeping me in the dark. And now all of a sudden, he's 15 minutes away and I'm 40 minutes away. So why? So we start going, right? So we're driving down and I'm watching this update, right? And I'm like, okay, he's 5 minutes away. Okay, he's a couple minutes away. And then all of a sudden, it just switches to thank you for your service. And again, no call from AAA, no call from the tow truck company. I'm completely in the dark on this. I'm just like, why? All of a sudden, does it say my request is completed? What is going on? I call AAA, dramatic pause to say hello to the chat again. Hello, Hex Siren. I love you. Thanks for tuning in. Red Squirrel, oi, oi. Good to see you. And Sweaty, what's up? What is up, y'all? Excited for tonight, you guys. Richard Hart's going to be speaking. I cannot wait. I miss that man. I just miss seeing his happy, sweet, sweet face on the live stream. I can't wait. It's going to be good. So yeah, make sure if you didn't know about that, make sure you tune in later tonight. Maddie Allen's channel is doing this Hex conference online. I got to speak last night. I was on a great panel. And the night before that, I was on another great panel. Just good stuff all around. So, all right. So back to AAA. So I call him and I got transferred at this point. I don't know what the hell happened this time, but I get transferred 6 different times. I'm not exaggerating. They transferred me 6 times because they're like, are you in? Because when you call, it asks me because my membership originates in Texas. So it's like, are you in Texas? No. What state are you in? Indiana. What city? Blah, blah, blah. So, but somehow it just kept routing me to the wrong person. And then the person routed me to a different person. And then anyways, 6 transfers later, I get hung up on. I'm like, all right, woosa, woosa. Just trying to keep it together and keep my calm. And that's another thing that I want to really stress. You know, the quote for today from SciVive talks about what you focus on is what you become. I could have been livid. I could have been furious. I could have been throwing a fit and crying and being all pissed and getting mad at everyone in the world. But I know that what I focus on is what I become. So instead of getting all frustrated, don't get me wrong, I may have shed a tear or two just out of sheer frustration. But I was able to just keep my calm and be cool about it. And again, thankfully, huge thanks to my friend that was with me as well, because same story, like calm, cool, collected individuals. We're all right. So I call up AAA again, and like first person I talked to, I'm like, get me to a manager. I want to speak to a manager. So, you know, by this time we're in this dinky little town. And now I have to wait again for a tow truck because I'm just like, I have no idea what happened, why this guy was here and now he's not. So I tell the manager this, my whole ordeal, including the fact that I waited 7 hours the other day and this is what's going on. And I just got hung up on all this jazz. So she's like, okay, let's get this taken care of. I'm going to reach out personally to these towing companies to make sure that you get a tow. About 15 minutes later, she has a towing company on the line. She says it's going to take 60 to 90 minutes for them to get out there. I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to hang out in Podunk, Indiana, walk around GS to keep warm and do whatever I can do. And 60 minutes goes by, and then you know, I of course I'm so concerned, right? Because I'm just like everything up to this point has just been a total fail. I just want to make sure that I'm going to get towed correctly. What's the word I'm looking for? I emphasized that this is a bus that needs to get towed, right? Minibus. It's a minibus. And I get a call that the tow truck driver is 10 minutes away. I'm like, okay, sweet. Get back over to the bus. Wait for this tow truck driver to get here. Tow truck driver shows up, takes one look at the bus and goes, they didn't tell me it was a bus. I thought it was an RV. I need a bigger tow truck. Luckily, and he had a bad day too. This dude was not happy. Like he was upset because of all the things I just gone through on this company's backs. Like, hey, like, make sure this and make sure that, make sure he knows it needs to go this place. And I'm so glad I stayed because it was from AAA. There was another third party company. So it wasn't like AAA was just talking to the tow truck company. It was AAA talking to a third party company, talking to the tow truck driver. So this third party company, I end up getting their phone number. So I'm telling them, hey, this is where he needs to park it. This is where it needs to go. Like, just make sure all these things. And they had told me, they were like, you don't need to be there, which AAA always wants you to be there to show your ID. But this other third party was like, no, you don't need to. I am so glad I stayed, because had I not stayed, the same damn thing would have happened. That guy would have shown up with his tow truck, took him one look at the bus and left. And then I'd be screwed again, waiting. So luckily we're there. He says he needs a bigger truck. And while he's out getting a bigger truck, I have to take, there's a storage hitch on the back of it. So there's 2 tubs on this like storage platform that have just extra parts, got some oil in it, different things like that. So we take the hitch off the back, put it inside the bus, guy comes back, and then the fourth picture on the thumbnail is his gigantic tow truck towing my sweet, sweet baby off to a diesel mechanic. So the cool thing too about this diesel mechanic is I had been in touch with them since Friday, because that's who I originally was thinking it was going to get towed to. Man, who knew having a diesel engine was such a pain? Like, there are not a lot of shops that work on diesels. So I'm starting to learn, like, I really am going to need to know my shit about diesel engines and where I can get them worked on and who is reliable in terms of that. So if y'all have any experience with that or know of good, resources for diesel mechanics just in general, again, the engine, it's a sexy beast. Like, this bus should last me quite some time. It's just all these little things, right? All these little bumps in the road right now. So it gets towed to the diesel mechanic last night. And this morning I gave him a call. I'm like, hey, it's me, bus lady. What's going on? How is everything? And they, and luckily that the first mechanic from Midas sent me some pictures and told exactly what was needed. So I forwarded that all to this new diesel mechanic. So he already, and again, super blessed. I don't know if I mentioned this, but up until this point, actually, until I get to the diesel mechanic, I have not had to pay a penny, because the tow, I was worried that the lady told me that my tow is covered up to $500 for RVs, but I would have to pay out of pocket anything above that. And luckily there was nothing above that, because it was a short tow. So, but I don't know if the equipment was going to cost more. I was like, man, more than $500 for a tow. That's like nuts. So anyways, that cost nothing. And then again, my Midas Angels, both of them didn't charge me a thing for the diagnostic at all. So dude, big up Midas. I don't know if it's just that Midas out there, but like, they were awesome. So, luckily I'm nothing out of pocket yet. And I already know what the issue is. So I forward that to the diesel mechanic. So I'm talking to him this afternoon, or earlier this morning. He's like, yeah, it's like, we know what's up. We can see that this is the issue. He had to order 2 different things, because he was saying that because the way that Bluebird bus tires are in the back, there's 2 different bolts. There's 2 different kinds of bolts that keep the wheels on, and he didn't have a tool for one of the types. So he had to order that tool in order to get the wheels off the back to do the work. And it's a dually. So it's got 1 tire on each side in the front, and then 2 tires on each side in the back. And so he had to order that part to take the tires off. And then he had to order the part that's broken. That's the leaking part, is like, it's part of the rear axle cylinder. Don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's what it was. So I just saw a comment. Hex on there. I'm sure they would have charged us. I put that charm on. I do. I try to sparkle. Yeah, bless them for real. Ooh, D-Raj, tell me where to get this. Is that just the evil eye pendant? I've seen them around. That's very true. I haven't staged the bus yet, but I did put some incense in there, and I have a bell, so I rang the bell in all the corners just to clear the air and everything. So that's where I'm at. That's what's up. I am unexpectedly still in Chicago, waiting for the diesel mechanics to fix what they're going to fix. It sounds like it's an easy fix, and it's just a matter of getting that part in time. So hopefully the part shows up at a decent time tomorrow so that they have enough time to fix it. And then I can just be on my sweet, merry little way and go on to the next thing. The cool thing too about this guy that's at the diesel mechanic shop is that I was a little worried. And if someone else I was talking to was like, hey, don't let them, I was Paladin. I was like, hey, he was like, make sure that they don't want to do both. Like they're going to want to do both sides of it and this, that, and the other thing. And they're going to want to like, fix all these things and yada, yada, yada. Luckily, Rod, I think his name's Rod at the diesel shop, totally understanding. Like I didn't even have to say that. He understood that I'm on the road. I've got mechanics from here to Austin. Like basically, I've got a mechanic that's in close to Indianapolis that I'm going to go see after this, and then I got two good friend mechanics out in Texas that are going to help me with anything else. So he understands and is under the impression that all we need to do is get this hydraulic brake fluid leak situation fixed, and that will get me on the road to Indianapolis, where that mechanic will be able to take care of the oil leak. So that was cool. He was, this guy wasn't like, he's not trying to nickel and dime me. He's not trying to do extra work. He's not even trying to do work that needs to get done. Like the oil leak needs to get fixed, but he's like, no, let's just get you on the road. The oil leak, it's not so bad, right? I still have a lot of oil in the tank, the bucket. I don't know. Words. I still got enough it's a slow leak. So luckily I'll be able to drive it once the hydraulics are fixed. No problem. Get it to the center, and then I'll be able to kind of take mine from there and, not stress about it. And then of course this mechanic's a friend of a friend. So, hopefully it'll be a little bit lower cost. I don't know what the cost of this issue is going to be, but hopefully not much, because just spent all that money on the bus itself. So with that being said, if you would like to contribute to the gas / I'm getting insurance. I haven't insured it yet, but I'm trying to do that like in the next couple of days before I go. Gas insurance fund. Diesel's expensive, y'all. No, I love it. It's and big shout out and thank you to my patrons. I have a Patreon. It's linked in the description. Y'all don't even know how much your support means to me and has gotten me through some pretty tough situations. It's just a few of you, but you all give way like above and beyond what I could even, imagine. So thank you to my patrons. For my Patreon, I do a little bit more very personal content. So if you're, it's kind of silly to me, but it's beautiful, because before I came into Hex, what I wanted to do was a travel vlog. We were going to do this van life travel vlog, and I kind of started to do that. And I just feel like I have not just the ability, but a good perspective and a good story to tell. I feel like this is part of what I was meant to do. And Hex comes into play a lot with that, because I feel like I was on a decent path, but like I said at the Hex conference the other night, I was doing acting, but I didn't want to be famous for any of those things. It's like, I don't want to be famous for some movie that I don't really care about, or some TV show that I'm not really into, or some commercial that I don't actually support. But if and it's weird. It's a weird dichotomy, because I don't want to be famous. I want to bring attention, if I can, with my image to what I care about, which is positivity, community building, and Hex, right? Our Hex ecosystem. So with that being said, this is now my mission. Like that's why I do my streams, because I want to allow y'all in to this little slice of my life and my story. I want to be able to share that it's not all roses and peaches and cream. Things get shitty, pardon my French, but that happens. Things happen, and it's a matter of your outlook. I'm going to go back to that sci-fi quote again. You become what you focus on. If I just focused on all the negative and I focused on being upset about it and I just sat there and I stewed in those emotions, I would be wretched. I would be miserable, right? And that's not what I want to be. That's not how I want to exude my energy out into the world. It's not worth it. That kind of energy can only build and continue. And it's same with both ways, right? If you keep focusing on negative things, I think negative things just kind of keep happening. And if you focus on the positive, if you say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to take this in stride. I know that this isn't the end of the world, that there's more to come, that will be even better. That's exactly, what I want to perpetuate. That's what I want to put out in the world. And that's what I want to see come back to me. And also, with that being said, I want more than anything to really be a force, right, for good and a force for Hex. So the next thing I want to talk about, I'm going to kind of end it here in the next 10 minutes, or maybe even less than that. But what I want to do is wrap the bus in a Hex designed wrap. So if you know of a company that does that, I want to reach out to the KSB.TV team because I know they have several vehicles that were wrapped. And I think I already have a designer for it. So that's one of the artists that I'm meeting up with in Indianapolis. It's the Schmyrus. He's part of the 369 clothing design group. He did my tattoo. You guys saw that my last stream tattoo. And we've become pretty good friends. So I'm going to hang out down there and see about him doing maybe a little bit of art inside the bus. There's a bunch of white cabinets. So I was thinking those can get painted. And then I'm thinking of having him design the wrap. I want it to be subtle, kind of like my tattoo. Like I want it to be like subtly Hex, but then there will also be a call to action somewhere, maybe a QR code, just something that if you're sitting in traffic and you're next to my bus, you're like, whoa, what is that? What's Hex? What can this do for me? Maybe it'll say something like financial freedom appears, kind of similar to that tattoo idea, or the t-shirt. If you guys go to, I think it's number 3 SIX number 9.xyz, you'll see the t-shirt that's based on the tattoo that I have. And it says financial freedom appears. And that's what I'm hoping, is that this bus will be a vehicle, literally and figuratively, for Hex onboarding and for the million tour when that comes around. That's always been my vision, was to whatever vehicle I was in at the time, I was going to go with the KSB.TV team. And just spread the word, y'all, and tell more people about Hex because it's changed my life. I tweeted about this the other day. I was like, it's changed my life completely without me having any financial gain at this point yet. Just, the yield or whatever, of course. But it's just astonishing. It's amazing to me what has happened in my life over the last year. It's almost been, I think, it feels like so much longer. I gotta really sit down and think about that because I can't remember when I first. What year is it? Where are we? It must have been 2021 when I got in. It's gonna trip me out now because I honestly can't remember because I went to the Hex conference in March, but I must have gotten in around the year before that. Okay, I'm rambling now. I am so grateful for you guys to tune in. Thank you so much. Thanks for your support. If you want to talk about talk about this wrap idea, if you know anyone who does the Hex wraps or has any more information on that, I think that's the first thing that I want to do. There's a meetup. So speaking of things to do, there's a meetup in Georgetown, Texas, on the 21st of this month. I believe that is a Saturday. Let's find out. Yes, Saturday, the 21st of January. I will see you at the meetup in Georgetown. You can look for Hex Futures on, I think he's on Twitter under that. No, it's Eco Builder. Same guy. Hex Futures, Eco Builder, Eco Davin. He is the one that's throwing the whole thing. He's putting this little party on, and it's going to be great. My goal, my dream was to have it wrapped by then. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that would be great. And let me real quick, in case I missed. Oh, hey, there's Hex Futures right there. Ask Hex is the at the Phoenix. Okay, I will do that. Most excellent. I did get a contact from Tim Benjamin. He did tell me about someone else that does that. But yeah, Hex Futures, thank you. I appreciate you. I'm excited for this party. It's going to be fun. I still hope to get there a few days before. I'd love to help out decorating, moving things around. You know me. I'm there for you. So that is it, y'all. I'm going to end it right there. I am so grateful. I hope I got to say hi to everybody who showed up. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being a part of this community. Thank you for having a long-term mindset. And thanks for helping build HEXico virtually. We're doing it, y'all. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.